What's going on, my PT peeps, my Walking Dead family, and my fighters? I'm One Eyebrow, also known as PT, and I'm back to talk about The Walking Dead. Spoiler warning for The Walking Dead show, comics, all that stuff, but definitely spoiler warning for The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 11. And oh man, what an episode. Some are saying it's the best episode in a long time. I think it was a really great episode. So the back half of Season 10, 9, 10, and 11 have been good, if not great, in every episode. We're going to do a review, recap, and discussion of Season 10, Episode 11. But first, guys, before we get to it, please hit that subscribe button. Helps achieve our goal of 100,000 subscribers. If you're already a subscriber, thank you very much. Make sure you ring the bell to be notified when we post videos every day. And hit the join button to become a valued member of our PT channel, Walking Dead family. But again, spoiler warning for The Walking Dead Season 10, Episode 11. And now it starts with Beta doing something weird with the trees. And then we find out later that it's tree sap and it's very flammable. I love when Jerry yelled, "Smells like a Christmas tree!" And it probably does, because it's pine tar, tree sap, and I guess it's flammable. I didn't know that, but now I do. You learn something new every day. And these Whisperers, they got some tactics, and they're definitely smarter than they look. The Negan Alpha dynamic was interesting. I still think Negan takes out Alpha either next episode or an upcoming episode. But Negan is bonding with Alpha, and Alpha trusts Negan. And it's interesting because you see Negan and Alpha, but you don't see Beta and Alpha. Almost like they don't talk anymore. And Negan is the second in command. But we'll have to see what happens there. And I find it interesting that they're on the rock pile from the cave, from the explosion. Still no Connie or Magna, even though they mentioned them, but we didn't see them or anything there. Also, Negan whipping Alpha and Alpha whipping Negan is telling. So they're bonded for life, right? Well, we'll see what happens with these two, but I still feel like Negan isn't full Whisper. He's kind of playing Alpha, and he's trying to stay alive, and he's doing everything to stay alive, but I just want to see him do something heroic, and taking out Alpha would. I just can't believe he fired arrows into Hilltop against our group and could have hurt Judith or somebody. I guess he doesn't know who's there, but you know. And all these walkers and whispers, there's a lot of walkers going towards Hilltop at the end of the episode. And I think they were singing, even though people say they were whispering, but it was definitely in a melody type of form where they're singing "We are the end of the world" and "We are free" and all that stuff. It's kind of creepy, it's kind of cheesy, but either way, Alpha, Negan, Beta, and the Whispers attacked Hilltop, which is cool and interesting because it reminds me of the comics, but it's definitely different here. Negan and Alpha attacking Hilltop, that doesn't happen in the comics. So we already saw some twists and turns for the show, because we all know that the show is the show and the comic is the comic. I definitely like the dialogue with Eugene and Stephanie, and it's interesting because they changed that for the show too. In the Commonwealth story arc for the comic, it's in Ohio. On the show, it looks to be West Virginia, so they're pretty close to each other. And I'm definitely rooting for Eugene and Stephanie. They seem like a good couple for each other, if there's such a thing, but at least they sound good for each other. The whole thing where Carol went to Daryl's campground or site or campsite, whatever you want to call it, and to me it's a little far-fetched that Ezekiel knew to go there, but either way, it's a nice callback to Season 9. Still no dog, I wonder where he is. Again, no dog budget, but I guess he's at Alexandria, if we're going with that. But Carol and Ezekiel got it on, and Ezekiel is a good guy. He still cares for Carol. It's definitely got to be tough losing Henry, and it definitely strained their relationship and the marriage, but it was nice to see these two together. And how cute is this? RJ wearing the sheriff hat and Daryl's vest. I mean, it happens pretty quickly, and Daryl got the vest back, and I guess Judith had the hat, but it's pretty cute. Is RJ going to turn into a big character down the road? Maybe season 11, 12, 13, is he the future of the franchise? We just don't know. He doesn't really have many lines. And did you catch the subtle hint of the Negan music twice in the episode? It happened here, and also when Negan was talking with Alpha before firing the arrows into Hilltop. Well, I guess it's Savior music, but to me, it's the Negan type of music. But Negan trying to save our group. He tried to convince Alpha to save them and have them join them. And then Alpha's like, okay, it sounds good. But she probably knew all along that she wasn't trying to save these people. She was trying to take them out. I was like, Rosita, what are you doing? Don't touch the radio. And I mean, she didn't know. She didn't know who Stephanie was and the dynamic with Eugene and Stephanie. And she was like, oh, it was pretty funny when Eugene ran right to get to the radio and was like, boom. And Rosita was like, oh, my arm. And it was really funny when Eugene was like, you look terrible. Get out of here. Get out of here. Rosita's like, what's your problem? And Eugene's like, get out of here. The connections with the batteries and the wires, and of course there's more red. If you look at some of these pictures, red is kind of all over the place. And I do feel like the batteries is a waste of resources. And we'll talk about the tactics around Hilltop. They weren't the smartest by any means, but it was pretty cool to have the electrified wire. The dynamic between Rosita and Eugene was nice, but it kind of felt weird. She's like, "You want to kiss me?" It just felt out of place. And I'm glad Eugene kissed her on the cheek, but it was just like, what? What are you trying to do here? I guess it was to show that Eugene cares about Stephanie, because we all know that he cares about Rosita, but as a friend now. And I have to say, there was a lot of emotional moments, funny moments, and the action was pretty good at the end. But the little moments here with Henry's armor, the dynamic between Ezekiel and Carol, Lydia and Carol, and I'm glad Ezekiel told Carol about the cancer. This was hilarious. Just look at this photo. It was pretty funny, and it was like, yes. Not even an eye roll. It was pretty funny, their dynamic. And I have to say, Ezekiel's pretty hilarious. Kari Payton does a great job with the Ezekiel character, and I like that Carol and Ezekiel play off each other. Like, we're gonna die tonight? Right? Well, no one died in the episode besides that one person that was lit on fire, but we'll see next episode what happens. And it was a nice callback with Henry and Lydia, H+L and a heart around it, carved into the wood. And Carol did say that she's going to kill Alpha, so will she actually do it? And I feel bad for Gamma. All she wants to do is meet her nephew, Adam. But I feel for Alden and Earl, and I felt the acting was great here. You feel for Mary. You feel for Alden. And you can see both sides. That's great writing. Not sure what's up with the painting, but we saw it several times in the episode. And I have to say, it hit me when Alden was like, everything we're doing is to protect this place and save him. Everything we're doing is for him. And I like the conversation between Ezekiel and Daryl. And they really haven't interacted. And there was all these little moments in the episode that build it up, and then the action at the end, and then it led into next week's episode. And I'm really glad they switched the episodes for next week's episode. It was supposed to be the Michonne episode, but now it looks to be the continuation of this story at Hilltop. And it was a nice thing where they were all about protecting the kids and getting them out, if it's Daryl or Ezekiel. And the whole moment with Judith and Daryl was nice. I mean, I love Kaylee Fleming as Judith, and I know it's not the same, but the blanket on the back of the chair reminded me of the poncho that Daryl used to wear. I know it's not the same thing and the colors are definitely different, but for some reason it reminded me of it. I love the moment with Daryl and Judith. And you actually saw a smile by Daryl. I can't remember the last time, if ever, we saw that, but it's a nice moment there, and it's for luck. Now, will it actually be lucky or will it actually be unlucky? We'll have to see what happens. But Judith being afraid and saying that she's not and she wants to fight means that she's such a smart character for her age. She's only like 10, 11 years old, but she's one of the smartest characters on the show. At least that's how I feel, and I'm sure some people hate the character, but either way, I love Judith. And you can see she has the hat right there. I'm not sure where RJ is, but I'm sure they're both safe. The callback to the paintings on the wall is nice. And it's interesting the way they shot it, because Carol is covering the portrait of Glenn. And who killed Glenn? Negan, who's helping the Whispers and attacking Hilltop. I thought that was interesting. Eugene singing the Iron Maiden song was pretty good. Josh McDermott could definitely sing. It was done pretty well. And so did Stephanie. And I loved how they incorporated with everybody getting ready for battle, Jerry and his kids, Diane stepping up for a little dialogue. Like, Diane's been around for a long time, and she has little parts here and there. And they put a lot of emphasis on Earl handing Adam to Alden. So I'm guessing Earl dies at some point, and Alden takes over raising Adam. And maybe Mary is allowed to help raise Adam, because Mary's a good person. And I could see that Earl and Alden don't trust her, but we know she's a good person. So hopefully that's around if Mary survives. Rosita getting ready for battle and everybody getting ready for battle. It's what you do. You got to have the montage of people stepping up and the good moments, and Ezekiel giving the armor to Lydia. Again, there was all these nice little moments after moment after moment with these people. And again, the painting is clearly shown. The coloring, Lydia's outfit. I don't know the connection, but they clearly showed the painting. Aaron trusting Mary with a spear for them to fight together. It was just, all these moments building up. And I'm not sure when Michonne's call sign was Daito, but Daito is a city in Japan, and it also means sword. So you see the connecting point with Japanese sword. And then we see Daryl getting up with his wounded leg. I'm not sure how he's walking around, but he's clearly limping, so they're showing that he's impacted still. But he had a knife stabbed in his leg. You're just not going to get up and walk around so easily right away. I mean, hours later or a day later. This reminds me of Maggie checking things out, and Daryl's really become the leader here at Hilltop. And I'm glad Eugene and Stephanie talked in this episode again, and I'm glad they didn't stretch it out. But Hilltop and the Barrington house are going to get tore up, and I'm guessing the radio equipment is going to get burned up with all the fire. But the idea that Stephanie is in West Virginia is different for the show, because in the comic, the Commonwealth is in Ohio, not West Virginia. And I thought it was pretty hilarious. He was like, all right, let's go. I got a date. So in 1 week, Eugene and probably Yumiko and Ezekiel will hopefully meet Stephanie. The dialogue between Daryl and Carol is short-lived, but it was impactful. You know, I hope you don't hate me. I can never hate you. And to me, it reminded me of your parents when they're like, I'm not mad. I'm just disappointed. Carol's like, that's so much worse. Well, you know, Daryl and Carol are BFFs forever. They're going to be the last people standing. And I know a lot of people hate Carol right now, but she's very important for the show. And all right, let's talk about the tactics that our group had here. Okay, so they got their spears. They got their barbed wire fence and the poles and the wires and everything set up, and the walkers are coming. I mean, I don't know how many there were. A couple thousand walkers coming towards Hilltop, and, you know, everybody's getting ready. We saw the tactics that they had with the shields, and everybody's getting ready. And it was pretty interesting when Kelly, you know, put her hands down and felt the vibrations. And before that, when the rats came, that was pretty gross. And then the walkers are coming, and they're coming, and they're coming towards the wire. And it was pretty cool, the electrified wire, but ultimately, you need some spikes out there. You need some spears coming in where the walkers just kind of dig into it. Also, you need a ditch dug, or whatever you want to call it. A trench, you know, holes around spots where the walkers fall into it and they can't get out. You pick up some shovels and you start digging. You've had plenty of time to do it, so why not set it up? The electrified fence thing was great, but you should have went back to the medieval days of a moat and basically what you can't get through. Now, you couldn't do anything about the fireballs and the flaming arrows, but this is just pretty poor design because it didn't work. If it did, it'd be great. But the one thin wire isn't going to hold thousands and thousands of walkers coming towards them. And the supports knocked it down. And it was wishful thinking that you put all this trust in Eugene, or you put trees down or logs down or something so the walkers just can't clearly walk. You know, in Fear the Walking Dead, when the walkers, you know, hit the concrete pylons, then they fall forward towards the spikes or the spears. That's what you really should have done here. And all the walkers would have started piling up and piling up and piling up towards the barbed wire that you couldn't get to them. The spears just wouldn't be able to reach because the dead walkers would start to, you know, block the other walkers from coming towards them, but the weight would be pushing forward. And I guess Eugene was so preoccupied talking with Stephanie that he really didn't come up with a great idea, I guess. But either way, it's the show, you know, it's what they decided to do with it. Again, I still think digging a big trench, you just need some shovels, put some stuff down, and the walkers wouldn't be able to get through. But either way, Hilltop is definitely on fire. The balls of sap, they look pretty weird there. But it was interesting that the tactics of the Whispers were way smarter than our groups, which is pretty sad. I mean, these people live in the woods, but they know how to survive. And I'm not sure if the slingshot thing here is far-fetched, but, you know, it's what we got. And the balls of tree sap was interesting when it was just hitting everything. It was boom, boom, and Jerry was like, it smells like a Christmas tree. And they had the slowdowns, and they were stabbing a walker in this. And I'm not sure why Ezekiel had to like throw his knife in the air and stab it in this, but it was real dramatic what they do. And either way, Daryl's like, what is this? And it just makes you wonder, like, when you had your chance to take out Alpha, this just would have been avoided. When Carol shot at Alpha, but she was blocked by Michonne or Daryl or whatever by the border, I was like, this could have been avoided for sure. And that's a great shot of Lydia. She's like, oh, what is this? Right? But Alpha is not messing around. That's for sure. The bows that they had were pretty interesting. You know, I guess you could make it pretty good. I'm not a bowman, so I don't know. But Negan trying to save our group is what I saw. And then Negan talked to Alpha, and I was like, they will join us as part of my horde. And Negan's like, whoa, you're a total badass. When I'd be like, wow, you are crazy. But Negan's on the winning side. Negan wearing the mask and the leather jacket. It looks pretty funny. And people are bringing up a great point. Why didn't our group, at least some of our group, have Whisperer skin masks. They took out Whisperers in the past. You could have just started collecting them and then using them yourself to walk through the walkers or get through the walkers and, go attack the Whisperers. But Negan firing arrows, you're like, what the heck? You better come up with something big. I know that's got to make a lot of people mad, but Hilltop is on fire for sure, literally, and it's not looking good for our group at Hilltop. But no Michonne, no Maggie, no Connie, no Magna. But is someone from Alexandria going to come save the day? Because look at that. That looks pretty rough. But again, Season 10, Episode 11 was great. It had a lot of great moments setting up next week's episode. And I'm glad that they switched Episode 12 and 13 because we get to see what happened here. It would be sucky if we were like, oh, what's going to happen here? A big fireball at Hilltop. And then next week's episode is all about Michonne, who has nothing to do with this. And I'm really glad next week's episode is going to be the resolution of this battle. So we'll see what happens. Thank you guys for watching. Let me know your thoughts. Post your comments below. And for those interested in my Zombie Apocalypse book series, check out the link in the description below. All these books are available now. Fight for Us. I hope you join the fight and pick up your copy today as the proceeds come back to the channel as well as the book series. Thank you guys for watching, and tell them Daryl.
Yo, we love you guys. Honestly, thank you.